Hello, everybody. This is Sonnet here, and today we have a very special guest with us today, ZM Wise, and I wanted to bring him on because he's an artist and he does several things such as poetry. He sings and he does other things. So yeah, I really like your work, ZM, and I have a great appreciation for poetry. I've been writing since I was, younger. but yeah. So, hi.
Hello. Always a pleasure to be here with you, Sonnet.
Yes, absolutely. So, just wanted to ask you a few things if it's okay with you.
No, it's not, but, that's what they pay me for. So, no.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
So, okay, ZM. How long have you been writing for?
Since 1995. So that would be 22 years now.
Okay. Have you always felt growing up that this is what you've been wanting to do, that this was a desire of your heart?
I knew that from a very a very young age, rather. Sorry, it's the weekend. My brain is completely gone. I knew I wanted to be a creator of sorts, but I didn't know what. I wrote horror stories. I made comic books.
Wow.
I wrote song parodies. Turned some stories into fantasy. Not gonna lie, even a little bit of erotica here and there.
Okay, okay.
But in between all of that, I wrote poetry, and I felt that came the most natural. I knew that it's what I felt inside, and a lot of my early material was very observational. A lot of it was, I suppose, reflective poetry. And of course, growing up, I read all the familiar children's poets, Jack Perletsky, Shel Silverstein, Ogden Nash, but also delving into the more mature poets like Ovid, Virgil, Homer, way back in the Greek and Roman times. And I find that the more archaic it is, the more interested I am in it. Same thing goes with mythology, history, culture, and whatnot. So the Epic of Gilgamesh was a complete treat. I wish I never read it so that I could read it again for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get those experiences too. So you do like you are interested in a variety of subjects, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, with topics, writing styles, the word limit is not in my vocabulary. Never has been, never will. There was, however, a brief period in high school where, most of the people who I talked to when they were in high school, they wrote such dark, depressing poetry, and I wrote maybe one or two of those, but I guess I was going through a sort of Hallmark love poet phase, and I just had to get that out of my system, and I did, and then I broadened my horizons, and the only promiscuous thing about me is my muse. What I'm inspired by is there are endless possibilities. It's like a vast ocean.
A horizon of just different things.
Definitely.
So, I know you mentioned depressing things, but did you know those are some of the most beautiful poems? Is the dark, deep felt ones, because they come from the soul, and it's like something that is buried deep within yourself. And a lot of people are, they have a difficult time expressing the dark side of them.
Definitely.
And when you express it via poetry, it's such a, it's really, really amazing. It's incredible.
I agree. No, I definitely agree. That's what I try to tell others as well. The dark and depressing, to me anyway. It like you said, it's quite beautiful, and that's also what I think of the grotesque and the macabre. It's the same thing with
Right.
with visual art. You can have a picture of a bloodied corpse, or of some woman dying, or maybe a goodness, could be anything. Could be
A bleeding heart.
A bleeding heart. Could be it could be a murder. Could be a decapitation. Just anything, but or anything that's considered to be macabre. Anything horrific. I consider those to be beautiful as well.
They absolutely are. they are an expression of what we feel.
Mm-hmm.
So, ZM, I want you to let us know, how do you get inspired? Like, I know, you really get into writing, but how do you get into it? I
Uh,
mean, do you light a candle? Do you like to be in a dim room? How do you get your inspiration?
well, for a while, kind of like homework, I couldn't write at home. I just couldn't. It was too boring and it was too distracting simultaneously. Had to be anywhere else. But at this, but as of a couple years ago, I could start writing at home, and I could be anywhere. Honestly, it's just I'm in this certain zone. Once I'm feeling it, I cannot have any distractions whatsoever.
Right.
It throws me off completely. Very rarely do I start penning a certain composition and then take off to occupy myself with another task. But no, I try to write it top to bottom as a draft, and then since it is a draft, I go over it, I revise it many times over, sometimes make amendments, and sometimes leave it as is. So yeah.
Okay, and so can you also tell us, what do you use for fuel for inspiration? Do you use your hurt, your pain, experiences that you've gone throughout your life as fuel for your creativity?
For fuel, I use unleaded gasoline. Vroom vroom. Now, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. No, I use pretty much everything. It just depends on the piece, depends on the mood. The current notebook I'm writing, I'm almost finished with. In fact, I'm absolutely crazy about those potpourri collections, ones that don't have any assigned theme to them. I mean, sometimes they will. Not too long ago, the book before this one was a book that divided itself between Eastern and Western thinking, and the piece that I'll be sharing with you today, at the conclusion of this interview, is actually directly out of that book. And yeah, sometimes it'll be an epic poem. And remember, millennials, when I say epic, I don't mean awesome. Epic it's a long narrative poem about a hero, usually. But this one, yeah, the one I finished not too long ago, it's very, I mean, it takes on a variety of themes: war, feminism, environmentalism, egalitarianism, many other subjects as well. So, yes, madam.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, ZM, so you've been writing for a little while, correct? Do you plan on continuing this endeavor with writing and with poetry?
Always.
Okay.
Always, always.
I also know that you also turned some of your poetry into music, correct?
I do. As far as singing a cappella, I don't mind doing that in public. With instruments, it's more self-indulgent, mostly because, aside from one or two instruments I use, I still feel that I kind of sort of suck, and I need a lot of practice, but I do feel comfortable with using one or two of them in public, as I've done sporadically. I sang once in 2012, and then I didn't sing in public again until 2014, and then once or twice after that, and more I'm going to continue. But I mean, there are certain musicians who feel that, not all music needs words, and I'm a firm believer.
Well, that's true.
I'm a firm believer in the opposite as well.
Okay.
Not all songs need music.
Exactly.
I mean, how can you explain Gregorian chanting? How can you explain a group like Pentatonics?
Right.
So, and even they use certain machines, certain musical devices. But yeah, no. But I mean, but when I record at
Sometimes all
home,
you need is your voice.
of course, of course.
Yeah.
Like when I'm at home though, and if I'm recording, then I will use instruments for sure.
Like, what do you use? I believe you said you have a harmonica, correct?
I do. That's the one I love playing the most.
I love harmonica, by the way.
I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do. I'm still tinkering around with the ukulele. I can play it
Oh, I
somewhat
love
well.
ukulele. It's so
It's
versatile.
definitely, it's so beautiful. And as far as percussion, I'm crazy about. This is probably gonna make me sound like a stereotypical poet, but I absolutely love bongos.
Bongos,
I
yes.
love them. And then, for some of you who don't know, this was an ancient Native American instrument. It's called the rain stick.
The rain stick. Is that like a flute?
Not really. It's
You turn it upside down and
it sounds like rain.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I actually have one of those.
Definitely, and I love using it for both effects. Sometimes I shake it and it makes like a rattling sound.
Yeah.
But then for a more soothing effect, sometimes I'll slowly turn it over and have the rain effect on my pieces. And then to add a little pep, I also have a triangle. And then sometimes I get out one of the oldest instrument I've played. I used to be in band from 4th to 6th grade, and I played trumpet.
Trumpet, wow.
Yeah, and that's the only instrument where you can say, I blew it. I mean, you could say that for a few others.
I played,
trombone and
I played the clarinet, and I would blow it all the time.
Yeah. So
yeah, I know.
Friday night, folks.
It's true.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there are many instruments like that you can blow that are woodwind, brass, and
Woodwinds, yeah.
Definitely.
Pretty amazing, incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
But I know some of your poetry is very it's pretty deep, ZM, and
thank you.
When you convert that into a song, it can be pretty incredible. So yeah, I know you have a poem for us later on, correct?
Yes, madam. Yes, this was definitely one that I converted into a song, but I'm afraid the melody is not 100% in my head just yet. Sometimes it is right then and there, but other times it takes just a little while. But yeah.
Okay. Another thing, ZM, is that it's known that people who are very artistic tend to be some of the oldest souls. Would you agree with that?
100%. Definitely.
Do you consider yourself an old soul?
From the moment I was born old, for sure. Ever since I was a small lad, I would associate myself more with the grown-ups and senior citizens whenever there was a dinner party, because their conversations were always more enticing to me. And don't get me wrong, people in my age group were wonderful. I never thought I was smarter or anything like that. I never thought of myself as that, but I just didn't feel I fit in with them necessarily.
It's just having the essence of an older soul, right? This is pretty amazing too, because people who tend to be old souls are extremely creative. They come up with like the greatest things, whether it's poetry or art or painting or music. I mean, it's having conversations with you. Sometimes we just talk about so many things, right, for hours and hours. And and I can definitely tell where the inspiration comes from with you.
Definitely. And there are many times, actually, Sonnet, where you, like, through those conversations, you inspire me a whole lot more, and just by those wonderful, enriching conversations that we've had. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I mean, we've had many conversations, and for hours, just talking about different things. And
before we know it, it's dawn.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes you tend to get a bit hungry. You have to go grab a granola bar or some watermelon, because
my weaknesses.
Yeah, so yeah, and pretty much, I like all of the things that you have. Are you a book? Do you collect books?
Yes, and I'm afraid at this point it's become a problem. I think
Oh boy.
I may need to take out a wall. No, no, no. Whenever I get my new apartment, I mean, I never really liked television that much anyway. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
I
watch that much TV either.
definitely, yeah. I mean, growing up, I did, of course, but I mean, growing older and older, it's just I just preferred books and music over television and film. So I'm
Absolutely.
definitely investing in
Mm-hmm.
a monster sized bookshelf. Like I have about 20 something boxes of books in the closet, and then maybe 15 boxes around here. And then an entire bookshelf. It's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a problem. Um, Also, too, ZM, I wanted to ask you this.
Actually, no, it's a solution. No, lack of reading is the problem. Books are the solution.
Yeah,
Sorry, go on.
actually, that is very true. Um, so, okay, so we know that the inspiration, I mean, really, you don't even have to be inspired. It's just in your blood. It's just what you do. You write. You're a writer, it's just within you. But I want to know too, ZM, is when you do write, do you often listen to music as well? Maybe to, you know, um, calm you down a little bit, to relax, and then get into the mood of just writing it?
Sometimes, Sonnet. There are times when I would occupy myself at this lovely Irish pub and raid their jukebox as I comfortably take a seat and begin writing. And I mean, I don't really spend money on alcohol, so it's just a glass of water, my notebook, my pen, and I,
So
and
everything you
letting
write is pretty raw.
pretty much, and then just putting on my favorite tunes, and
Hmm.
I definitely mix it up quite a bit comparing to what I hear coming out of the speakers most of the time, and it's very refreshing. And sometimes I, that music is the catalyst that prods me in the back and says start writing. And other times I don't really need that. I usually have this natural craving.
Drive. Uh
Yeah,
huh. Yeah.
and I must write, or I must finish this
You are
notebook.
a born writer.
I'd like to say so, and ironically, I write with my left hand, so I guess I was a born lefter too.
Yeah. Lefties are extremely creative and intellectual. I mean, that's not to say anything, there's anything wrong with people who are right handed, but it's known that lefties are very creative.
Well,
Do you feel that way?
thank you for saying so. I'd like to think so. And in the olden days, they were considered to be associated with the devil. So, all hail Satan's satin sheets.
Oh, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Okay, so another thing too, ZM, is when you perform your poetry on stage. Uh, what is your preference? Do you like dim lights, lights of blue and green, or what do you like?
The darker, the better. Honestly.
I think so. I think it gives more room for expression.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, like the one place I still get stage fright to this day is Barnes and Noble. It's a well lit.
What? Oh, yes.
It's a well lit place. It's more family oriented, so I can't really let loose that much. I can speak out and draw in more of a passing crowd, but I do appreciate the darker settings.
Yes, because when you are in a darker setting, it allows you to tune in to your authentic energy,
I can feel
like what you
more.
feel it.
I can
Yeah,
feel more natural auras that way.
right.
I can draw in more of a collective energy
It's
that
the
way.
feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. Okay, so I am really excited for this poem that you're about to share. So you want to go ahead and read it for us?
Certainly, thank you, and thank you for letting me read this. This was actually inspired by you and what you talk about on your channel, and out of all people, I appreciate that very much. Growing up, I mean, ever since I was a small child, I appreciated the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal, but I was more focused on the outward appearances on these manifestations, whether it had to do with cryptozoology, extraterrestrials, ghosts, demons, and whatnot. I wasn't really as concentrated on the supernatural effects that humans can have, whether it's psychic phenomena, stigmata, causing miracles, anything along those lines. And then I started learning more about twin flames, and immediately I was inspired. And as I said before, this is directly out of my book, and that divide. It doesn't exactly divide, but it differentiates between Eastern and Western thinking, and this one is more of the Western side, specifically. And this piece is called "Song and Dance of the Twin Flames." And as I said before, it is going to be a song, but the melody isn't quite there yet. But not to worry, fellow listeners, I shall get there eventually. Song and Dance of the Twin Flames. Flicker, flicker, death. Flicker, flicker, death. I die a little inside each time I encounter you. Aura, aura, dance. Aura, aura, dance. I dance a little inside when I reminisce of the kiss at Kathmandu. Under wolf attacks, the metal traps snap and dig their teeth into thoughts of intimacy. Over the purging tears, the goddamn vulnerable fears mask themselves as flirtatious ennui, draining each other like psychic vampires in a series of time chapters. Can we separate again, reverting to the days of fruitful laughter? Seasons want us banished, other elements envious of this phenomenon. People will point the fingers of blame, but we will retaliate with Poseidon's Triton. Together as deities, every step is a conquest. Slaying the rage of evil, every battle is a war laid to rest. And now we dance. Pentagram, turn, triple crown, and now we dance. Circles of light levitate, slowly lying down. And how we dance! Miss the entrance of the heartland. And how we dance! Past the urban life and into castles of Indian sand. Sirius the wise approve of this union. Constellation alters capabilities. Our love placed behind the bow of Orion. October 17th, 2016.
Wow. This is absolutely amazing, and it really, really touches my heart, CM. It's so amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't have done this one without you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. How amazing was that poem? So I can't wait to turn it into a song.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited for that. So is there anything else you would like to share with us?
A couple tips for all of you creators out there. You don't even have to be writers. You could be musicians, visual artists, filmmakers, whittlers, makers of clothes and whatnot, or culinary geniuses. Anything at all where you create. First of all, always accept constructive criticism. That's always key. Never, however, accept harsh criticism. There's a huge difference between someone who says, well, perhaps this could be changed around to fit this way in this way, between someone who says that and, well, this just sucks. Don't ever listen to anyone
ever
who says something like that. Their opinions might as well mean nothing. You have to back that up somehow. You gotta give it a deaf ear. Of course, yeah. So, and never let that stop you from creating. Also, never, ever incinerate or shred anything you create, no matter how awful you think it is, because it's going to be evolution.
That's how it starts.
Definitely, everything starts with a preliminary sketch, or a rough draft somehow, and it's, as David Gilmour says, it's all extensions of what comes out of our head. The guitar isn't going to sound like that. It all starts out what it's like in the head, unless of course you're tinkering around with the guitar.
Yep.
Brief commercial. Ding, 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 ding.
Bing, bing.
If you If you like what you've heard so far, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and feel free to scroll through my other videos. And a shout out to Sonnet1117. Her channel is amazing as well. I am also on Twitter. That's my social media platform. And I am also on Tumblr if you'd like to read the texts of my published poems, zmysthepoet.tumblr.com. And go to Amazon, buy my books. I have 2 full-length collections, 1 epic poem, and 1 book-length confessional poem. And as we speak, I'm trying to find homes for 4 other manuscripts. And poetry lives.
Long live the arts.
Signing off.